Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. Hey guys, thank y'all for tuning into this episode here today. This is a continuing series that we are doing this off season. We haven't done it since 2022. This is called the Stars Fan Stories. We're just talking to Stars fans and just learning something about them, what their favorite players, their favorite moments, things that they love about being a hockey fan, or anything else that comes up. It always just depends with this. So we're continuing with this series today with a friend of the show and a friend of the Dallas Stars. His name is Matthew Franke. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. And
So
also have
yes,
the
so
spirits right behind me.
So I got to point that out. So who is that behind you, laying down on your bed? Your cat. Who is that?
That is my cat, Charlie. That's
Charlie.
currently being by, yeah, she.
She even heard her name.
Yep.
It literally looked like she perked up and looked at the camera when you said that. Well, Matthew, before we get into hockey related stuff, can you just tell us some things about you? What non-hockey related stuff. Let's what if someone was meeting you for the first time, what would you want them to know about you?
So, as you said earlier, my name is Matthew Franke, and I'm originally from Corpus Christi and moved up here to the DFW area in 2017. And I've pretty much been a lifelong Stars fan ever since. Although I didn't really start watching the team until after the lockout, but it was the video games from back in the day that got me into them to begin with.
So was it when you were playing the video games? Did you have a favorite player on the video games, or not really?
It was Mike Modano.
Of course. Who else would it be, right?
It was Mike Modano. Like the Star jerseys back then is what caught my eye to begin with, but a lot of NHL 2002 was the game I played the most as a kid, and while a lot of the 99 Cup team players were on there, for some reason Modano just sticked out as a sore thumb, even though I hadn't seen too much hockey on TV to begin with.
So why was it in 2020 that you got into it? Was it just it was literally just because of just COVID and everything kind of screwed everything up for the world, and you were just like, hey, I'm just going to play this game, and then it just kind of sparked from there?
Did I say 2020? I'm sorry. 2002. Well,
okay.
NHL
That's okay.
2002. And then
okay.
2005 is when I started. But yes, 2020 was quite a ride.
So I actually remember playing NHL Hitz 2002 as well. That was one of the games that I don't remember a whole lot from my childhood because obviously who does? Not everyone remembers everything. But I remember being in Corpus Christi because that's where my grandparents lived at the time. It was an 8-hour drive from the DFW area. Yeah, it was 8-hour drive, and we spent Christmas there. I guess it must have been 2002 or it was 2001. I guess whatever. And I just remember waking up and getting the brand new Xbox. I was so excited and all that stuff. And that was one of the games that I got. Of course, my dad made sure I got that game. So me and Zach loved playing that game when we were little. It was straight up arcade style hockey. We loved that so much. But,
oh, really?
Yep. But
what part of Corpus?
To be honest, I don't even know. I don't even remember. I think it was actually around. I think it was around Calallen is where it was.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that's where my dad graduated high school from. I think it was in 1987, 88.
Oh, wow. So your dad's actually from. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's from Corpus Christi. That's where he grew up and everything. So.
Yeah. So my initial turn on to hockey to begin with was actually the IceRays down there. Well, so now they're a junior league team, but back then they were minor league, semi-pro, something like that, and played in this little tiny old barn called the Memorial Coliseum. We're talking we called it the Igloo down there because the AC was so old that they jacked it all the way up. So like it could be 90 degrees outside. Like you still had to show up in like a heavy jacket, and the seats were like just hardwood. Fans were into it, and this was back when like hockey, or at least with minor league hockey, you're at least guaranteed to see 3 fights a night.
That's awesome. And it still is that way. It's not so much in the AHL, but I think it's still that way in the ECHL. So like in the ECHL that up here in the Dallas area, you've got the Allen Americans, and you still see that quite a bit. You still see quite a bit of fighting there, which, hey, I went to a hockey game and a fight broke out. So that's kind of how it works. Well, so and what's actually funny about that is that Joey Erickson of Locked On Stars, he's actually the play-by-play guy for the Corpus Christi IceRays. So that's kind of cool, full circle there. So was it really just the video games that got you into hockey? And then after that, what was your first experience like watching hockey on TV, or maybe like going to your first game or something like that?
Yeah, so I was like 5 or 4 when I went to my first hockey game down there in Corpus. And like this is back at the time that like I think my mom was still pregnant with my sister. So like that was like the first moment that I can remember somewhat vividly. And then still going to games down there like whenever we could. When it comes to the Stars, I think I don't know, towards the end of elementary and beginning of middle school, that's like when I actually like started watching sports, and then just randomly finding the Stars on TV back when it was still called FSN Southwest.
Fox Sports.
Yeah.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest. I still remember that too.
That's definitely ingrained in my mind too.
Yep. So do you remember your first Dallas Stars game?
In person or watching on TV?
Either one, because I'll be honest. I've watched so many games, I don't even think I remember my first one anymore.
So on TV, I absolutely do not remember. I can't tell you who won. I know at the time they were still wearing the Star jerseys, so that was awesome. Now, first game in person, that I definitely remember. Actually, I was living in Austin at the time, and I had just graduated from college, and they were playing the Bruins. I actually drove up that morning and drove to Dallas, and then drove all the way back. And the crazy thing was that game was at 11 o'clock in the morning.
That's weird.
TV.
Yeah,
it was on NBC.
Oh, of course it was. That's how it always is.
Yeah, and it was a good game. I think like the Stars lost, but what made it super memorable was the year before the Stars and the Blues were playing in the second round. That was the one where the Stars got obliterated in Game 7, and David Backes was on the Blues at the time, or in 2016, and then was traded to the Bruins. And the first thing that happened was Jamie Benn and David Backes immediately like had a face-off fight to start it off. You can actually go find it on YouTube. Just search Jamie Benn versus David Backes, and that's the first thing that comes up. But when I went back and watched it, so what was funny was like it wasn't Mike Emmerich or any of the other national guys. It was actually Dave Strader and Razor calling the game.
Calling the game for the national broadcast?
For NBC, yeah.
Really? Ah, that's interesting. I mean, yeah. I know Razor's done that in the past with he did that with Versus for a while, and
yeah,
I don't think he ever did anything with ESPN, but
I don't know, but I do remember that with Versus, but like that was back when the Stars they had that playoff drought.
Yeah. We don't talk about the dark ages.
Yeah, there was absolutely nothing memorable from watching the Stars while I was in high school.
Yep. So,
But
do you remember who your first favorite player was? Was it Mike Modano?
yeah, it was Mike Modano.
Yeah. Who was it after that?
And who was it after that?
Mm-hmm. Stumped you on that one.
Probably Turco. Probably
That's a
Turco
good one.
because like I remember in middle school getting NHL 2K6 and Turco was on the cover of it.
Was it? What year was that? Was it 2011?
2005,
Oh my
2006. Like
goodness, I'm
right,
way
right after
off.
the lockout. Right after the
Yeah,
lockout.
I'm way off. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just guessing. I had no idea.
And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and then after that, like I would say right now it's Ford. I would actually say it's Matt Duchene. Like when it comes to the skaters, I would say it's Matt Duchene, even though I wasn't like super thrilled about the new contract. And of course, like who doesn't love Otter?
Yeah. Well, I understand
Mm-hmm.
with Matt Duchene, because like whatever everyone says about Matt Duchene is absolutely true. Like when I pretend to be a media member after games and everything like that, and yeah, he answers questions. He's always extremely thoughtful in everything that he says.
Mm-hmm.
It's not he doesn't give like the typical, oh well, we just got to get pucks in deep and go after them and blah 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 blah. He like actually says like, no, I sucked it up on this play. This is what I was supposed to do, and
Mm-hmm.
this such and such player was out of position or whatever. Like he gives very thoughtful answers to the questions, and he doesn't even stop there. Like he gives you like he just goes with you through his thought process. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah. I totally see Dutchy being a commentator one day after playing hockey. It could
I
be
agree.
with the Stars, it could be with another team, or it could be national.
I think eventually he will be that way, but at least for now,
Yeah.
he's got 4 more years with the Stars. So,
Mm-hmm.
so what's been like your highest high as a Stars fan? So like what was like your biggest, most euphoric moment that you can think of?
I would say I did go to game 7 against the Kraken a couple years ago. And I went with a friend from high school and from college. And now he did not grow up with hockey.
Right.
As a matter of fact, like I give him a hard time for this story. So we went to a game in 2019. I think they were playing. It was either the Jets or the Oilers, and it was a Thursday night, and the Cowboys were playing at the same time. And he had the Cowboys game up on his phone while they're getting destroyed by the Chicago Bears. And we're all like, me and some other family like right behind him are like giving him a hard time because like that season was going nowhere for them boys. And meanwhile, like the game right in front of us at the AAC is a really great game. I think it went into overtime and the Stars won. And he eventually went to more games with me. And then like the year in 2022, like he actually went to his first playoff game. It was against the Flames, and the Stars won that. And he's like, wow, this playoff hockey is awesome. So in 2023, we went to, I think, game 2 against the Wild, and then we went to game 7, and it was something else on a whole nother level. Just that really tight game. And then in the middle of the second period, I believe it was Rope Hintz, I think, that scored the first goal midway through, and the whole place popped up, and he had a snap tag going. I still have the video on my phone, but like he is just absolutely losing his mind. He's like, yeah, yes, Stars, yes. Like we're both losing our minds. And then in the third, because like the way the game was going, like if the Stars score and make it 2-0, like it's pretty much over. Like this ain't a high scoring game at all. And Rope scored, and Now I'm like screaming like the highest of high you can possibly think of, and I'm like losing my mind. And then like somebody was asking my friends, like, "Dude, is your friend okay?" I'm the friend.
The answer is no. Yeah, the answer is no. No, I'm not
No,
okay.
the answer is no. The answer is no. And then the Kraken scored late, and I'm like, they do this all the time. They freaking do this all the time. And I'm like just bloody murder screaming. And for like the rest of like how many seconds were left up until the final buzzer. And like we were in the last row, and you've probably noticed this, but like the last row has those like metal panels that fans will just bang on. That was me. Like I'm just like banging on it. I was banging on it so much. I think like my hand was bruised the next day. I'm like,
That's awesome.
why does my hand feel tender? Oh,
Well, well, let me ask you about your lowest low. You kind of talked about some of your highest highs, like Game 7 against Seattle a couple years ago. Like what's one of the lowest lows?
oh no, that's simple. 2019.
What was 2019?
Oh, you know, Game 7 against the Blues.
Yeah. I
Double OT.
I refuse to talk about it. I refuse to say it
Yeah.
out loud. It was like
And
that far from Jamie Benn getting the puck over the goal line. Still to that day, I wonder if we had just been able just to get it over, just that, quarter of an inch. Do the Stars win the Stanley Cup that year? And
I believe they do.
yeah, I mean, you could say even last year is like if the Stars just are able to get a couple of goals in Game 6 last year. I thought they had a better team last year than they did this year, and
they would have made
yeah,
the finals.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know if we would have been able to beat Florida because as good as Florida has been the last 2 years, but still, it would have been nice to at least seen how they
Figure
would
it
have
out.
fared
Yeah.
against. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's some recent stuff too that you would have thought like that would have been like the lowest of low, but losing in Game 7 and over in a double OT when you have the team that has a shot to win the cup, whether it's dark horse or just head to toe cup contender, and then just to go out like that. Like I was at Game 6 against the Blues, and at that time, that was the most depressing game I'd ever been to because I was expecting a clincher right there. And then Game 7, like I'm talking to a friend like who lives in Houston, does not care for really sports at all, but like we were just like kind of like talking and just being goofy. I'm just using it as a coping mechanism pretty much. And then I see that goal go in. I'm just nothing more to say.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about that moment too. But what's funny is I know I said that I don't remember a whole lot of stuff from my childhood, but one of the things I do remember is when Dallas was in the Stanley Cup final in 2000. And when they lost to the New Jersey Devils, and it was Jason Arnott who ended the Stars run that year. I don't think I was ever as depressed after that moment. I don't really remember like the game or the play in particular, but what I do remember is I remember the feeling afterward and how I felt. And even I think how old was I? I had to have been 7 at that point. Yeah. So even as a 7-year-old, I was still down in the dumps probably for at least a week, maybe 2. And and that was in the middle of the summer too. So like like my summer was not very good that year, but during that point. So
You're like 7 years old. You're off to summer camp. It's like, why is Ryan so upset? Like, Jason Arnott.
I'm telling you, man. And then he became a Dallas Star later. I was just like, We're selling out to the devil, literally.
I have a funny story. So there is a poster hanging up right now on my wall with Modano, Hatcher, and Lettinen, and Jason Arnott. I got the poster a long time ago at a book fair. Actually, get it down if you want me to.
Sure, we might take a look at it here towards the end because that'd be interesting to see. I don't even remember how long he was a Dallas Star for.
I don't remember either.
I think it was at least 2 seasons. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe I can do that here in a little bit. But
didn't they trade for him in exchange for like Newendijk or something? Or some older Stars fan will watch this and probably correct us.
I think it might have been Jamie Langenbrenner.
Oh, okay.
I think we traded. I think Jamie Langenbrenner went to New Jersey, and then we got Jason Arnott in return. I'm just guessing. And people listening to this episode are like, no, Ryan, you're wrong. They're gonna
you whippersnapper. That's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like NHL 2002, Jason Arnott was still a Devil.
So let me ask you about this too. Have you ever gotten a chance to meet a player? And what players have you gotten a chance to meet?
Actually, quite a handful.
Which ones?
So if we're talking current, I've met Otter, I've met Robo, I've met Wyatt. I guess you can kind of say I met Sagan. So like it was one of those open practices where they go to like the different star centers around the area. And one Sunday they were at the one in Euless, and they had the table lined up for like the fans to like just throw their merch out there and get free autographs. And I have a hat with, I thought about wearing it tonight, but it just fits weird now, with Sagan, Otter, and Wyatt, who signed it. And then I left the Star Center, and there's all these fans hanging out. What was like the parking lot where all the players were parking at. And what's so funny is like, here's all their Ford Broncos and what other types of fancy cars. And then right across from it is a youth soccer field, and there's a game going on, and there's just no big deal. It's Jason Robertson and Jake. The whole team is leaving to get in their cars, and these fans are hanging around, trying to get pictures. And there I was, and I remember Otter, like, he had like a Minnesota Vikings t-shirt on. I didn't get a picture with Robo, but he had a USC shirt, and I just like fist bumped in. He was like, "Hey, what's up?" And Wyatt had like a shorts and a t-shirt and just like a regular baseball cap on. So that's like current players. And then previous players, I've gotten pictures with Brendan Morrow and Marty Turco. So like me and my dad went to Zubov's jersey retirement game, and all the legends were there.
I really wanted to go to that game. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, that's the banner right there that everybody got from that game. And Turco was so cool. Like, Turco's just going around, like, he's walking around and just going, like, running around for pictures. And then he comes over to me and my dad's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And just like gets a pic with us. Morrow kind of snuck one in too. And then I guess you can say Matt, but I got to, so you know how the ticket here in DFW has like their ticket stock in like in the wintertime?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2024 they had Modano. And
oh, cool.
I remember working early and leaving, so working early that day just to leave work early. And so Madonna was up on stage talking, and they had gone to break. I have the poster that I was talking about earlier, and as soon as like they went to break, I'm like, here's my chance, autograph.
That's pretty cool. I love
I
it.
hand him the poster. He gets up out of the chair, and then like he signs it, and then like hands it back to me. And that might have been like that probably was like the most euphoric moment. Aside,
That's pretty
like
cool.
that didn't have to deal with the game. Like that was the most euphoric moment right there.
That's awesome. But
Yeah.
what and I guess I'll go ahead and tell you this, because not a lot of people know this about me, but I used to play youth hockey when I was really little. I started skating when I was 4, and I stopped playing when I was 11. But when I was in like I think they called it mites and mini mites. It was like 6, 7, 8-year-old leagues and stuff like that. I actually got the opportunity to do this. I think it was 3 or 4 times to do like the intermission shootouts that they had with the little kids back in the day.
Oh,
I got to do that. I think it was at least twice as a skater, and then 1 time as a goaltender. And like one of the highlights of my time playing hockey was the fact that we were getting ready to go out onto the ice, and the Stars were coming down the tunnel, and this was like when American Airlines Center was like brand new, like brand spanking new.
Yeah.
And literally, and this was the time I was a goaltender, and here comes Eddie Belfour coming off the ice, and he just smacked the crud out of my pads, and I was just like, ow, before I'm going out onto the ice. So that's I've gotten to meet Eddie Belfour a couple of times, and I've had a couple of conversations with him since then as an adult, and I'm like, you don't remember that at all, but like I still remember that as a kid, and I was just like, it's those little things that you know just it just kind of it sticks in your mind, and that's what I love about being a Stars fan. So.
Shoot, yeah, you would definitely be a fan for life if Eddie Belfour like whacked you like that. Ow.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, it was amazing.
I got smacked by Eddie Belfour. Ow.
Yeah. And I had to pretend like it didn't hurt, because you have to be cool and everything, right? So
I'm tough.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. So let me ask you this. I got a couple more questions for you. Let's see. Who is one like non-star player that you just irrationally hate because of like a moment, or just because of who the player is? Is there a player that sticks out to you like that?
Mark Stone.
Is it just because of the LTIR stuff?
That and his little dive into Heiskanen's knees.
Oh yeah,
and then smiling on the bench afterwards. Now, like for all I know, like probably somebody cracked a joke up or farted on the bench, and like that's funny. But I mean, that's not it's it's
That's
a little. It was Pat Maroon for a bit, and then like I think I heard somewhere. I guess he was on a podcast, and he had mentioned Jamie Benn as one of those players where he's like, I hope he wins the cup one day, kind of thing. And I'm like,
mad respect.
Mad respect, yeah.
Yep, I understand that. Yeah, but like, there are some of those players that you can't stand because of just who they are. Like, I mean, like Sean Avery, for example. Like, I don't know if you know who Sean Avery is, but like for those back in the day when Brett Hall and Joe Newendike were like assistant GMs of this team, or like co-general managers of the team, or whoever it was, and they signed him. I was just like, oh please no. It was a terrible signing. It was not a good idea. But then there are other players like Tom Wilson and like Brad Marchand who like they're just buttheads, right? But and like Jamie Benn falls in that same category, I think. Like you hate them if they're not.
You have to admit it.
But if you love them, if they're on your team, you absolutely love them. Like and I think Jamie Benn fits into that category. So
yeah, and I think that's the one thing as Stars fans, like, you just have to come to terms with is not a whole lot of people who are not Stars fans are not big fans of Jamie Benn, and especially after trying to take Mark Stone's head off, which I was at that game, and my dad was watching, and like as soon as they gave him the game misconduct, I had to ask my dad, like, can you send me a replay? Because they're not showing it here. And then he sent it to me, and I'm like,
It was a
dumb,
penalty. Yeah.
dumb. But they
Yep.
didn't show it, so it made it look like, oh no, the refs are after us. And then there was like some more penalties, and then there was some garbage on the ice, and it's probably like the most angry I've ever left the AAC after a game. Just
Yeah,
total mud on the face.
yeah, and you know, to be honest, like I think since that moment, Jamie Benn hasn't been able to play the same way because he's afraid to cost his team like he did in that run. I think that's to this day why he's not as effective and why we don't see the physicality from him as much as we did. Now, I'm sure age plays a significant portion into that. I'm sure because you can't keep up the same physicality perspective going forward. But
Right.
I still think that was a big turning point in Jamie Benn's career because like that was after the 2020 bubble run, and he didn't get a chance. He was literally 2 games away from winning the Stanley Cup in a very, very unique situation that no one was ever going to be able to be in ever again. And then in that series, just in 2023, it was just like, man, it was like you really wish that that he hadn't done that. And they won the next 2 games to get him back so that he could serve his suspension and play one more game, and then they got absolutely manhandled.
That's the kind of irony right there. No Jamie Benn, and you win 2 games.
He comes back in the lineup, and then you lose, right?
And then you get smothered. Yeah, I think like Vegas had scored the first goal or whatever. It looked like it looked something very like, I must do something. What should I do? Oh, right there on Mark Stone's neck.
Yeah.
And I think, like you were talking about, like ever since then he hasn't been the same. Like I really do believe like that is partially why you didn't see any physicality whatsoever this time around against the Edmonton Oilers. Just the lack of getting back for like every little dirty thing the Oilers were doing to this team, especially Vander Kane whacking Rope's foot. I mean, just to hear the fact that his foot was bleeding afterwards from Jim Nill, like makes you even like more upset at the team and at DeBoer for going with that game style than actually for Evander Kane causing the injury to begin with.
I think it was actually Evan Bouchard. Well, it was Darnell Nurse who caused the injury.
I'm sorry, it was Nurse. It was Nurse.
And then it was Bouchard who took a whack at Rope after he came back in the lineup. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, since we're kind of talking about that, and we'll wrap it up with one last question. I'll let you have it. What's your message to like say the Dallas Stars are actually listening to this podcast? I don't think a lot of them will because they're trying to get away from hockey for the summer. But like if they were listening and like right now, what would be your message to them? Something that you wish they could hear?
They know this probably more than any of us fans, but I really do believe this is the most golden opportunity that you have right now as a team. And with these vets, and especially for Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, their door is closing, and I would definitely point that to the younger guys. While they definitely have plenty more time and chances to win the cup, this is your opportunity to reward those who have been playing much longer and have been mentoring you up, to give them the cup that they definitely most deserved.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if they can do it again this year. I'll be honest. I think they're significantly worse than they've. At least the team on paper right now is not as good as the last 2
No.
years. So we'll have to wait and see if they can make a move at the trade deadline and kind of bolster their depth a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see. But
It also depends on who the coach is too.
yeah, that is true. Well, Matthew, I do want to say thank you so much for coming on and talking hockey with me and sharing your story with us and everything like that. It's just awesome to be able to talk with fellow Stars fans and kind of get their perspective. This is something different that not a lot of podcasts do. They don't really talk to the fans too much, and this is a unique angle, if I can talk, that a lot of podcasts don't do. So again, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. So anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. This was quite the episode to do, and if you want to, I can show you the poster.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, okay. Go ahead and grab the poster real quick as I'm wrapping everything up. So,
all right.
For all of you guys who are listening afterwards, we really appreciate you guys listening to this episode. Please consider clicking like and subscribe and hitting that notification bell on YouTube. If you do so, that is actually a really cool poster. If you're listening on the audio side, you need to go to YouTube and look at the poster. That is very unique. It's very different to see Jason Arnott.
Yeah, and then there's Madonna's signature.
Madonna's signature. That's absolutely cool. And then, as always, follow us at Starcastic anywhere and everywhere on social media, and we will catch you guys again on the next episode of Stars Fan Stories. Thank you, everybody.